We can
Yeah,
do it from
please.
there. Courtroom,
Please enter your PIN followed by the pound key.
Yeah, dial my number.
5, 8,
Okay,
yeah, and then,
Oh. Yeah, that's right, right?
yeah. Then we press 5, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, but it didn't go through.
It didn't ring.
No,
These damn
I hate them.
I
They're
do too.
terrible.
Okay, phone, is that what we do there?
Right.
we only made 3.
Okay. What do we push on this dumb thing?
Oh, you're right there.
Enter the
All
number.
right, I got a dial tone.
Is it ringing?
Nope.
No? Send. You have to do that?
Must- Oh, no,
Now is it?
Yeah.
Okay, then we press 5.
5. And then what? 1, 2, 3. Pound.
Okay.
How you doing there, bud?
Fine.
Okay.
Oh,
now,
that means the speaker's
Can I put
on?
this back?
You got the speaker.
Can we hang it up?
Just set the phone down now.
There.
Here's this. Did you get a copy of this?
Right there.
Okay. And then when Carrie shows up, then we copy for hers as well.
Whatever. Oops.
Oh,
My
you
hands
got
are
a
cold.
copy. Good.
My
Okay,
hands
there's
are
a copy for Carrie.
That's what gets going on me.
Can I give you what? For the YouTube?
And I copied and pasted it. And it's a routine.
Well, I hope I can do it without disconnecting. Ah, it won't pull up for me because I think we're live right now. Go to your computer and see. Well, you can't because you got to be hooked into the camera. It's what?
What is online and what is we can do is playing on
I heard a car door.
Oh, you know what? What the heck? Right there at the top in the control copy. We go to an email. New message. I got something up for here for you on the other side of the limb.
That's it here.
You said other side.
Thank you.
Get some glue.
Not moving very fast.
It's still on as far as I know, March 11th,
Oh.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
got that
gotta put
wind,
it in
yeah.
my,
blowing across.
on my phone. I'll be there.
Come on.
And maybe what they charged
Tom, I
was,
like your hat.
what it, you know,
You didn't hear me? That's okay.
but I don't know. You know, I mean, almost $600 for mileage.
I can't get it pulled off.
My mileage. I could be wrong number of years ago.
No.
I got a
Message. There
phone
we
from
go.
the insurance
Finally.
company. It was 900 of it. Taken care of to Rochester.
Yeah, it was almost $600 to go from the school to the
Okay.
patient.
Well, that'd be about
There we go.
probably 200 to pay. I mean, I can understand they need to make money. But they just can't really.
And if they were participating providers, then
When I go back here, that's what I copied. But I can't. This is where I would get to it. And it won't do it for me because I'm pretty sure because we're live streaming right now. 10 minutes late. But like I said, when I copied this,
Yeah, that's the address, do all of that.
yeah, but that piece right there should be for this specific one.
No, not necessarily.
I know.
That's all the different letters and all that.
Control-V again, yeah, it's the same thing. Give it a try on your computer. And see if you pull it up with your computer. If you can, then there you go for right now. Okay, folks, I'm sorry for being so slow and getting this going here. We apparently did not have the proper link on our website, and that's what Lee was trying to get straightened out right now for everyone for tonight, and hopefully she can have, I cannot at this time that I can find without shutting down the live stream at this time to find the link. And then to turn it back on again might be a hassle there because we had that problem once before. So she's going to try with what I sent her and see what happens with it about getting the live stream up. We are still on with the phones though as well. I did put something, everybody has a copy in front of you. You probably have read it by now. It is from the planning board. And it says, we, the planning board, will be officially adopting the attached solar law proposed changes at our meeting on March 8th. However, to give you more time to read over the proposed changes prior to your meeting on March 10th, we are giving you a draft version for your workshop meeting on March 1st. And that's why I've handed it out to you, so you have it now to take a look at it before our board meeting next Wednesday on the 10th. You should all electronically, and if not, it's on our website, have the present solar law. And these are changes that the planning board is making recommendations to that existing solar law. Okay? So I just want to, that's just a piece of information I want to put out there for you, and you have it. Now, the purpose of today's workshop is to go over the solar project on the Baird property on Route 98. And more specifically, to go over the seeker documents, parts 1, 2, well, the 3 is just whether we do a negative or non-negative declaration. And everybody should have copies of that. So if you'd be so kind as to get those out. Also, I contacted, I double checked with Adam Weingard, who is the site project supervisor on this, and he is on the line so that as we go through, if we have questions, he will be kind enough to answer any questions that we may have. Okay?
Yeah, that is correct. Hey, John and Adam, can you guys hear me okay?
I hear you perfectly well. I just turned the volume up a little bit so
That
that
would be helpful.
Huh?
That would be helpful. It was a little
Yeah.
hard to hear him.
it seemed kind of soft. I could hear, but the phone's right next to me, so.
Makes sense. I will try my best to use my loud voice. I will try. And I did just want to clarify just briefly, quickly, Sean, the project is proposed on Bayard property as well as the Bayard and Monticelli property.
Right.
As well, so I just want to clarify that briefly.
Before we get too far, I had requested that I just would like to know what our protocol is for moving forward. Like I did get one application. I didn't get a second application. I'm confused as to kind of where we are and where we're going.
There's two separate applications because there are two parcels. The one parcel is strictly Baird's property, and the other parcel, I believe it's the southern parcel, is Baird and Monticelli's property. So Baird, you may as well say, has his name on 3/4 of the properties of the two parcels total. So that's why there's two separate applications, because there are the two separate parcels and they're both signing to have a project put on their property.
Right. Did we get both applications or?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Both of them on in this book that they sent out to us. Going through it, only one page had both things on it. Everything else was written captured here.
That's because I got the other one, which is Baird Monticelli.
Oh, okay, so
They're identical.
And it's totally correct.
The only reason it's not totally correct is because the one you have just says Baird on it. And the only difference between that one and this one is this one says Baird/Monticelli. That's the only difference. Otherwise, they're identical.
Do we have them electronically? I have one application electronically. I'm wondering if I could get the other one.
Sure. We'll get it to you. Adam, can you get that? Could you send both those applications? Because I know you made some modifications on them recently. And if you could send them back out again electronically to all board members?
Sure. Just to confirm, I have the planning board application, the town board application, and the ZBA application. Would you like all three for each parcel?
Yes, do all three. Electronically, it's a lot easier than by doing it hard copy.
Sure.
Okay, just a question, John. You're referring to the project, this one here?
What page is that?
12 and 13.
12 and 13?
1 and 13.
1 and 13.
All environmental assessment for environmental.
Oh, okay, I see. Yes, that's what all I'm talking about. We're going to be doing is going through part 1, part 2, and part 3.
Okay, on this, it says property owners, and I've got both way up here. I got Baird and, Monticelli on this. But then everything else that's in this part, through it refers to the applications later.
are just there, Josh and Bear, they don't have on the selling. So it's a little confusing. You're saying they're running these, and they're both, I'm assuming, got contacts with the solar panel.
That is correct. Yeah. Are you referring to the attachments on the part one of the FEAF?
I'm referring to the project, application sponsor information, where it's got both names on it, but then later on, where you come up with some of this stuff, you only got the one name.
Can you maybe give me a specific example? So I'm following you. I see on that first page, you have the property owner noted, but I'm not following the, where you're seeing construction.
Okay, let me see if I can. Trying to do this without marking up the book that I
Turn that mic on over there. I think we'll get loud. It's coming towards you. Yeah. It's on. Thank you.
General government.
I mean, Adam, wouldn't it be helpful to explain that the EAF and all the environmental stuff covers both parcels together as one project?
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going with my initial question related to the attachment there. And sorry, apologies, Teresa, I did not identify you. Thanks for jumping in. I just want to clarify just before Teresa Baker, our attorney, AF attorney, is also on the phone here with me tonight. But yes, I mean, just at a high level, right, the EAF is effectively filled out on a project basis, right? So the EAF and all the supporting documentation, attachments, et cetera, are basically submitted on a project basis. So you have one document basically encumbering these attachments there too, right? You'll see the project area is defined, and that the project area itself actually does cover and span both parts.
All right.
They just want to clarify that's how we filled out the part one, and basically looking at it from a total project perspective versus filling out an FEAF, specific or doing studies specific to a parcel. We basically look at it from a holistic project. If that makes sense.
Okay, I can understand that on the address, you've got down there 4380 Orchard Road. Whose address is that?
That is Joshua Bear's address, and that is the project. We're using that as the quote unquote project address. We will need to physically set up a 911, a separate 911, physical address for the project itself. But as things exist today, this is the information, that's basically the information that is, or how the project itself does in fact scan parcels. We're using a physical address that exists as of today.
Doesn't the other property have an address to it?
There is no physical residence at that parcel, so that's why we use those.
Okay. All right. Well, while we're on that, not to hold up things, but over on page 313, or 3 of 13, you've got down in C4, existing community services, and you've got the Albion, what school district, Albion Central, what police or other public protection forces serve this project site. You got the Albion Village, Orleans County Sheriff. Now, are you referring to the Albion Police Department?
Whatever the applicant that would be supporting the physical site should be noted here. So if there is a discrepancy from what we have currently listed, that is not correct or not reflective of the correct actual police entity would be serving the property, then we certainly can and will update this accordingly, but based on our research, this is the information.
Okay, because to my knowledge, the Albion Police Department doesn't have jurisdiction up here on Route 98 application. You could also add the state police, Orleans County Sheriff and state police.
Okay, yeah.
And then right under that, which fire protection emergency, you got the Albion Fire Department. What about the Dairy Fire Department?
Yeah, that
D1B. Adam?
Yep.
Total acreage for the site of this proposed action. Is this for both parcels or just a parcel?
That's for both. And for everything in this form, it's still have on a per project basis, not on a per parcel. So you can see everything reflected in here is basically agnostic to the change.
Okay, so you're saying that the total acreage that will have solar panels on it is the 28.6 acres, and that only 4.6, almost 4.7 acres of land will be disturbed, which I assume you're referring to the treed area.
So just with point clarification, 28.6 applies to both the fence area plus our access, plus the ancillary access road. And,
Yes.
We'd have the utility pole also, and yes, for B, B.1.B.B, that is visible area of ground disturbance. So any sort of trenching work we would need related to the underground, the collectors, as well as the area of impact related to the stormwater structural VFE that is proposed in the southwest corner of the project.
Okay.
So you've got total acres, you've got 98.74 that you're gonna be using.
No, we won't be physically be using the 28.6. That's just the 98.747. Basically encumbers that's the total acreage of both of the parcels. Which are under a site option. Which, as soon as we get our final engineering drawings created, we would actually enter into a lease agreement with both landowners for both parcels. That would physically show the boundary description and list the final total acreage of the project. But in terms of the project area in itself, we're looking at 28.6.
Sean, what's our, R1 and, general business, we changed it?
We've changed that. Business runs all the way down through right where this project is. And the business district runs from the center line of 98, 500 feet, either east or west. And in their case, they're on the west side of 98.
Okay, so then we had changed that to agriculture, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they're gonna have to change that, and you don't have the wrong, you got residential R1 and general business 2, and it's been changed.
Correct. When we first applied for the project, we applied back in August 2020, which is recently over. We understand that the rezoning has occurred, but we were of the mindset of filling out the form and application. This is representative of what was happening all the time we actually applied.
Okay, so you're gonna have to go through this whole thing and make sure that you got the proper changes, right?
Yeah, I guess, yes, or maybe ask you that question, but from my perspective, yes, that's totally fine here. We are and update this. I just want to make sure we're not doing anything that's breaking secret, breaking something under secret that is monumental, that we're not changing something after we've already applied. So I just want to make sure that that's
No, that's,
okay.
no, that's fine. You can have changes to the EAS form, just to bring it current. It's not really necessary legally, but there's no harm in doing that whatsoever.
Well, personally, I'd like to have it correct, once they okay this. That's why I'm asking some of these questions.
Sure, yeah, no, yeah, a big picture review, it's fine, I just want to make sure we weren't doing something we shouldn't be doing, but totally fine, we can definitely update that from R1 to the AR.
Is it still called GD or is this called business?
Just business.
That's business, okay. Don't wanna screw it up again. Here we go.
Or if we change it.
Yeah, don't change it again.
So, at least give us a month, give us a couple months, we can
next page, 4 of 13, letter G as in George. Total number of structures, you have 2.
Yes, there we're listing the, basically the concrete, equipment pad area. You'll see in the site plan, we have 2 dedicated, we're defining structures essentially that house our racking or house the, the inverters, house the, centralized equipment pads, transformers, switch gear, that sort of thing. So that's how we have, filled out this for G is identifying the 2 physical concrete equipment pad areas that will be located, at the project site.
Okay.
Okay, and you got those in the site plan, right? Later in the book.
That is correct. Yep, that's correct.
Once again, we reiterate too, there are no energy storage units whatsoever associated with this project.
You are correct. No battery storage associated with the project.
Okay.
Adam, can I ask, what the expected length of this project is, like duration?
Are you talking physical construction, or are you talking the operational?
No,
Operational.
operational.
Operational. So generally, these systems will and can last, anywhere from 25 to 35 years. We will certainly as we get into year 20 and 25, we do start to kind of, look at details in regards to the expected, what the plant should be producing based upon available sunlight levels, as it compares to what the actual system is producing. So we can and have seen, plants in specific regions that have not lasted, the 30 to 35 years that I didn't know previously, but in general practice, to kind of give you guys a timeline, 30 to 35 years is really our useful operational life that we typically see these plants last for.
Okay.
You brought up when you talked to me the other day, what if after so many years that people didn't get along and
Yeah, so, well, that's why I wanted to see the 2 applications, because I wanted to see, because right now, like according to our current wind ordinance, or solar ordinance, there's specifics in there that may be problematic to this project, and so that's why I was asking. But I don't know, I've only seen the 1 application, and so I don't know what their setbacks are, what the, if any. And that's why I was kind of wanting Sean to go through and say like, okay, so right now we're reviewing the seeker, not the entire project, just the seeker portion.
Just the secret portion right now, so we can address that at our board meeting based on the changes here.
But we can't review this based on those changes because that's not in place yet. We have to go based on what our current ordinance is. We can't say, oh, well, this is what, like, because then it means that no public comments, nothing else. Like, we're already saying, yeah, we're going to approve
Have you
this.
looked at this?
I have.
Okay.
And-
And is there anything here that will be a major impact on what their application has?
Absolutely. There's 2 things that looks like it's being changed specifically for this project.
Specifically for this project or all solar projects?
Well, I mean, the changes here would be for all solar projects, but it seems like seeing as how this solar ordinance was just established a year ago, we are now saying that we need to update it, and there's some relatively significant changes that we're suggesting, not just wording or grammatical changes, that my understanding is based on suggestions for this project. And if I'm wrong, you can correct me on that, but
Town Supervisor, can I address that? I mean, we've reviewed the changes and, they were sent to us by, the town attorney. And we listened to the planning board go through them at their last meeting. And there's nothing in here that we can't comply with, that our project doesn't already comply with.
so the specific questions that I have is in regards with the setbacks for the two projects, because there's the two separate projects, and there's the setbacks in regards to if something happened and they needed to, there's, shut it off.
Okay, now,
We're just trying to figure out where the feedback is coming from, so that's why there's the pause. That one's off. All
This
right,
mic is turned on.
this one is, we turned it back on.
Yeah. And I've got this phone on mute.
yeah,
You're on, but I got this phone turned off.
All right, let's try this again and see if there's less feedback. So my concern with the new suggested changes is that if they're down the road, sorry.
what if you,
I just turned the volume way down on this. I got the mic turned off. So we only can hear through this. That is turned off. This is muted.
It's the phone that we're getting feedback.
Are they still getting the feedback though? I can't hear what they're hearing, so.
You seem to be good and clear right now.
Everybody got it here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Go ahead, Carrie.
All right, sorry about that. So the thought is that based on our current ordinance, there would need to be a setback distance between the two parcels. Am I misinterpreting that, or am I?
You're referring to the boundary line between the two parcels?
Yes. And my concern is that I know that Josh Baird has his name on both, but having two different parcels really owned by two different people, it can be a cause for problems down the road. I don't know, taxing wise, there's quite a few different questions that I had in regards to that. And so these changes seem like, because the changes have with exception of setbacks, and then also it has the addition of where there are two or more continuous parcels that have a system, setback requirements shall not apply for continuous property lines between such parcels, which I'm fine with if it's owned by the same person. But when you start looking at multiple people, I think that can get messy. And taxes and other components with that.
Well, just to address one thing, I think we have the agreements with the owners of both parcels, and the leases will run with the land, which is to say that if any of the parties ever sell or transfer one of the parcels, the lease and the interest stays the same. So if you own a parcel and that parcel is subject to the lease, and you sell the parcel, the lease continues to exist. It's something that you take subject to.
Okay. So if, I have kind of a second question for this. So I know you guys have done quite a few other projects. Other towns that have the setback requirements, do you have projects where, it's a continuous project, but there are setbacks within that project?
Typically, what you do is there are setbacks between parcels, and there's no provision for waiver of the setbacks, like it's essentially what's being created here. You would go to the zoning board of appeals to seek an area variance. So that's why the project has always been designed not to have internal setbacks, because in the event this change didn't exist, we would go and seek an area variance for that setback.
So,
That is correct.
okay,
And we do, sorry, just to give you some context from AES's perspective, yes, we do have other projects where we have requested an area variance, and it has addressed the interparcel setback, distance or offset.
okay. So I'm going to be completely honest with you guys and just share, and this is not about like this project specifically. I just am concerned that as a town board, if this, our solar was just changed a year ago, was just adopted a year ago, and we're coming back in what appears to be for me, and I understand that you're saying, that our attorney sent this to you, and, maybe it's just because we don't want to deal with variance, with sending it to the zoning board and having them review it for a variance. But I think that it's a pretty dangerous place to be changing our local law, because we're going to have to do a seeker for this. We're going to have to send it to the county, like the whole process over again for changing a local law. And I just think that that's maybe not the wisest thing to do and precedents to set.
See, I think that part of the problem is that there was a lot of confusing language in the original local law about whether it was the planning board or the town board approving things. So the sense we got, we didn't ask for this, but the sense we got was that the changes were going to be made regardless to the other provisions. So, I guess that's just our perspective on it.
And I understand that I want to emphasize, I'm not faulting you for that or anything. I just have concerns as a town board. But that's off topic, kind of going back to the seeker. So we would be, right now we're reviewing the seeker, and we're going to be looking at just this one seeker for both, or does there need to be two separate seekers that we need to approve if there's two separate applications?
There's one seeker for the project, which includes both parcels, and the zoning change that you're making here is like a text amendment, so it would have its own separate seeker process.
Right. Sorry.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. My concern, but for each application, so each application that we review, I just want a clarification that we would need to approve the seeker for, I know it's for the same project, but if there's two applications, I just want to make sure that we're doing it right and that we have, even if it's the same thing, just that we have it attached to each application, so it doesn't look like we did a seeker for one and not for the other.
I think it's really clear when you look at the numbers and the descriptions and everything, and particularly the reports that are attached, that everything was done for the two parcels as a whole. If we tried to do seekers separately for each parcel, that would in fact be wrong, because you're supposed to look at the project as a whole.
Right.
Without regard to, how many parcels it comprises.
Right. We did have questions on the seeker before, and I still haven't heard any answers. And to be honest, the questions, I think there were some things that we had discussed as a, I mean, this was back in September, I believe it was, when we had reviewed it the first time. And then you guys were going to go back and send us, an updated one. And then we discussed it, and I thought there were like 3 questions that were going to be brought forth to you. And I looked back through my notes, and I didn't have those questions written down, but I was wondering if.
I thought I did. I was trying to find that part 1 seeker that we were going over at that time.
Yeah, what we did was after you all started going to the part 2, we followed up by submitting a part 2 with the additional information that you had requested. So as you had gone through the form, you asked for supporting materials.
Yep.
Which we provided to you along with a part 2 with suggested answers, sort of along the lines in which your review had been there as a board.
Yep. So I saw like the information on the studies, like all of the wetlands and all of that. I thought there was, and I wish that I did try and find it. There was like a specific question about a specific part of the part 1. But I don't have that right here, right in front of me.
If we're looking at part 2, number 1 on the impact on the land, I believe the question you had was under 1A, and it was the proposed action may involve construction on land where depth of water table is less than 3 feet. So what we did is we attached the soils map and identified that as a moderate to large impact, because there is a portion of the site, a very, very small portion of the site, where the road crosses, where the access road crosses the wetlands. And there was also a question about bedrock being exposed, which we answered no after providing the soils map as well. So I think, ironically, most of the questions were right there in 1 under impact on land.
What about 1F as in Frank? I do have a star next to that one. I think that was brought up as a question. And what I have here is a question mark, reseeding upon completion of installation. There's a note that I have written right there. This is page 1 of part 2. I don't have a part 1, but I got part 2 that's got notations on it.
Okay.
Now we're jumping around. I know we started out in part 1. I'm sorry?
After the press, thing.
Okay, this is the one where we're not proposing to use pesticides or herbicides, and we're having a slip in place.
Right.
So that's a small impact.
Correct, yeah, and I think John, to answer your question, in terms of what would be done, so, system, we would physically reseed.
Okay. And then when I moved through this, I had page 2 of 10, part 2 of the seeker. Number 3, impacts on surface water, the letter B. The proposed action may result in an increase or decrease of over 10% of more than a 10-acre increase or decrease in the surface area of the body of water.
Yeah, that's a no.
Right. I don't know why I got 100 cubic yards written down right there, so that must have been some part of the discussion we had.
Wasn't that pond high, we're talking about moving, using those surfaces up there?
Is there an existing pond on there at this time? I know they were talking about a retention pond.
And I think that we got talking about where the dirt was coming, you said something about probably we could use about 10 pounds. So, for a roadway.
Adam, that's your, that's you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure clarify. Can you clarify the question again, just to make sure I'm answering?
The only thing that I remember, we probably were talking about on the roadways, something came up of how much stone or dirt would be going into, and I thought you came up with 10 pounds.
Well, I mean, I'd have to go back and re-discuss it, get the full number of quantity of gravel that we're talking about, but specific to the seeker part two, right? We're asking to freeze the, right, the proposed activity called dredging for 100 cubic yards of material from a wetland or water line. The access road that we're talking about, a portion of it is impacting the wetlands or water body, but not the entirety of the roadway. So would you be
Right,
looking?
and it's not dredging 100 cubic yards of material from a wetland or a water body.
That's exactly right, yeah, there's no physical dredging that would occur within the wetland itself, wetland area itself, as part of that roadway installation work, you're basically laying down a layer of gravel, and with some minor surface work physically occurring to get it, to get the road, such that it's in all limits, right, so you're not, you don't have one side of the road higher up than the other, so we're keeping it straight, but that is where the amount of impact we're talking about is not dredging.
Part two, Sean. What idea?
No.
Yeah,
No, that's the application, only has part one in the application.
okay. Where is part two then?
Part two, I sent out to everybody electronically.
Yeah, that's what
And
I thought, but
Part three as well.
So part two, the email that I have that has part two and part three is the same thing and it's just the application. That's why I was confused. Both part two and part three. AES part three, it's just the application. It says AES Town of Berry Application Pack 12.
Yes.
Can you see and see if I'm missing it? No, that was what Lee just sent, but the one that Sean sent on the 22nd, both on the 22nd and on the part two, it says part two, but then I open it up and it's just the application. It's not actually part two. Yeah, that's the same way. Yeah. Open that up, see if you see it, if you see part two in there, because I still just see the application. Right, but if open the attachment, and I'm still finding that it's just the application.
The attachments are just the backup for the studies that were done. Like if we refer to the soil map, it's attached. Or if we refer to a wetland delineation report, it's attached.
Right.
It's just backup, that's all.
Yeah. So, right. So Lee just sent us those. But what Sean had sent us earlier in the week, for the actual seeker, the subject has part two and part three, but the actual attachment was just the application. So I had gone through the entire application. I hadn't reviewed the part two and part three must be. I had gone through part one again, and I was like, okay, this is what we had gone over with a few changes.
Yeah, I'm not following, like, just give an example, the EAF on page 3 of 10, this is the EAF part 2. Like under impact on groundwater, it has the proposed action may require new water wells, and clarify here, no wells. So there's no impact.
Yeah.
We're not using groundwater, discharging any wastewater.
I'm,
And so no bulk storage of petroleum or chemical products on site. So what we did is we just tried to explain the answers and provide greater detail just to make it simpler. The same way with the flooding and floodplain, you know, we clarified down below that there's no FEMA 100-year floodplain or 500-year floodplain on the property.
so Teresa, I understand what you're saying. I'm just, the town board members don't have that in front of us. What we have in front of us is like the actual application, which only contains part 1 of the seeker.
Okay, yeah, I know, John, in the package that I sent over, earlier, but last week, obviously, it was part 2, the clarification that Teresa is referencing. I have it actually up on my screen, that's what that's about. So I don't know if it would be, I'm happy to email this out, now to you, Sean, so you can get it out to.
I will do it right now.
There we go. Okay, this is it.
Definitely get it.
I was,
What you had sent me, Adam, I had sent out to everybody immediately.
I don't know. Tom, did you get it?
The only thing I
I just got it right now, what Sean just sent, but
What I sent you was from October 2022, 2020 also.
so, okay, hold on. So I can show you the computer, 10/14/20 town board meeting follow-up. Okay, but what, oh, I'm so confused. So that has, okay. Can I just show you, Sean, what we got, just so you're understanding the thing?
Pulling up all the stuff you just sent me. I got like 7 of them.
Clarify as well, we did, the EAF part 2 was exhibit, if you wanted to save as what was distributed, look at my email stuff here, we did send this out October 25th. Sean, I know I took you guys a copy of the part 2, so that part 2 that was provided back in October, the part 2 that I just provided, Sean, will be updated full package. Just want to clarify that, if you're looking at one in October, it should be one.
X comes in, nothing changes. X off to this side. Okay, you just got what I sent in, right?
So I got what you just sent, yeah, which is the October one, so as long as there's no changes, that's fine.
Okay,
But I know that you intended to send out part 2 and 3, because you have AES part 3 and you have AES part 2 in a different email, but when I opened them up, they're the same thing. This is the full application, 143 application.
Yeah.
And then,
So you got your, it's all nice.
yeah. But now, he just sent out the October one, so it's just that. and that's-
October, which is the part 2.
Nothing else can be.
You haven't gotten it because I sent it to you and her.
Yeah, I just got it, so I.
It's dated October 14th, when I got it from Adam. Part 2 with exhibits. Okay, we'll get your name right there, Don. Let me try sending it to you again.
That's the only thing with problems with these things is
Yeah.
Just send it again to you, Dan.
Just for clarification, the SWPP, that's soil and water protection plan, or is that something different?
That's correct.
Okay.
Stormwater pollution prevention plan.
Oh, okay, thank you. Stormwater.
No problem.
Okay. How big are the stormwater basins? Is that in the application?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear that question.
I was just curious how large the stormwater basins are, and you have here that they're considered structures, but then in the previous part, it was saying that the only structures are the 2 cement pads.
Yeah, give me one. Here, I'm looking up the little basin. I mean, just the proposed pond, just to clarify, I mean, the pond is right in subsurface, it's not, would not be a structure that would be above ground. So just to clarify that, I think from a structure standpoint, I would definitely not categorize a pond B1 as a structure, as a structure, would be at grade level or below.
Okay, it's yeah. I'm on part 2, question 3, section A. The proposed action may create a new water body. Yep, but then it says only stormwater basins, which are considered structures, which just seems contradictory to what was. So the stormwater basin is a stormwater pond, right? Or am I?
right.
That's correct. The reason why we wrote it that way was because we wanted to distinguish it from a natural water body. It's not. It's just this created sort of hole in the ground, if you will, for the purpose of controlling and treating stormwater.
Okay, and what is the size of the pond? Or of the, I'm sorry, I want to use the correct terms, this stormwater basin.
Just that, just that
0.8
The
feet.
pond, the retention pond.
correct.
How big did you say?
28,
I'm sorry, Adam, did you say 28 acres?
0.8.
Oh,
Yeah, we're not putting this on the bottom.
3A.
The sound quality is so bad, I didn't tell what you said.
Yeah.
Re-
Oh, and I had to question myself down the basement. The kiddos are gonna be running in here in a minute, so sorry, my phone quality has gotten even poorer, my apologies.
All right. So I guess I'm still confused because on that one, it says the proposed action may create a new water body. And from what you just described, that seems like that's what's being proposed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every construction in a wetland, and in this case, it's a freshwater wetland, is regulated by the Army Corps of Engineers, and we are applying for a nationwide permit for that. So the only point we're making there is the wetlands that are going to be affected by the access roads are not regulated by DEC, but by the Army Corps of Engineers. a very small impact. It's less than a tenth of an acre, right, Adam?
That's correct, yeah, I'm going to pull it up here, we're at 0.08 acres, so total wetland impact.
Okay. All right, I just, thank you for the clarification.
Sure, yeah, no problem.
Back, going along with that Carrie was bringing up, if you go over to number 5, impact on flooding. Letter D, the proposed action may result in or require modification of existing drainage patterns. You have down, no, the panel array is on posts which are pounded or screwed into the surface. The electrical and data wiring is all underground. The only real surface change is the access road and stormwater measures. So what you're saying is there is no change in the drainage whatsoever?
What we're saying here is the proposed action was not result of development of land subject to flooding. So basically what we are saying here is that what we are proposing with our project is that anything associated, we're not creating any additional stormwater runoff essentially. As would be required for deeper slip if we were over, we're over an acre of physical disturbance. We are over an acre of physical disturbance. We have to actually kind of slip, which would mean that any stormwater event, any water basin that occurs during construction or even post construction, right? If we're implementing infiltration basin and a proposed pond to mitigate for water runoff, or basically we are capturing and addressing any of the necessary water flow concerns that can go along with a construction project for either SWIP or for our civil engineering design drawing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you said it, you used a term that perked my ears there. You said something about an infiltration, retention or something along those lines. You said infiltration something.
And infiltration basin. You can think of it as that. You definitely think of it as a ditch, John. It's a small depression. You'll see it on kind of the north, southeast corner of the proposed project. It's a very nominal, what I categorize as nominal structural, what we call best management practices related to civil engineering design drawing. So it's a very, very minor modification of the southeast corner of the proposed project to capture and address runoff really associated with the access road. If you look at the report, you'll see the access road location is providing some additional impervious surface. So basically, we're proposing an infiltration basin to address any of the stormwater runoff associated with that access road.
Does this feed back into that retention pond you are proposing, or does this go over to the stream?
No. It holds. It would basically, think of it as a small ditch that would essentially hold water for our geotechnical results.
Okay, it's a dead end ditch. It doesn't go anywhere but right there, and it just holds the water until it
That's correct.
infiltrates into the ground itself.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Part of the geotechnical investigation, we completed a percolation test.
Okay.
Essentially test for how fast the water would actually seep into the soil. And geotechnical results yielded a fine, we had to be like 0.5, I think we were like 1.25 inches of total percolation data or percolation timing for that water to basically go down there. So that go down into the soil. That's exactly the right way to think of it. It's kind of a small ditch that essentially the water runoff would flow down to, and the water would ultimately just seep into the soil.
Adam, did you find out where bedrock is, like these others in there?
We did a couple test bore locations. Let me pull out the question. I'll let you know what they came back with. I'll show you what the FPDF did. We have it on part 1. Greater than 6 feet is the FBAS, we want to just make sure that that's reflective of what we're seeing in geotechnical results too. Again, geotechnical results, right, we're not doing, on like a foot by foot, foot by foot sections or anything like that. I think it's 5 or 6 different test locations, for this one, if I'm not mistaken. So it may not be, 100% determinative, but it's better than nothing.
Okay, so what were the results of that?
Yeah, you need to find the file, to get there. And if for some reason federal, is encountered, we do see it when we're out there, doing file driving. There is more than enough alternative means that we can take to encountering bedrock subsurface.
All right.
So we have things like drill, we can actually do helical skiers, we can do three fast foundations. We have a lot of options to it. We do see some bedrock concerns out there, but just looking at this, where is my depth? That one site did have 7.5 feet, 6.5 feet, 7.5 feet, 1 4. So it's relatively small, like.
All right, I appreciate it.
Sure. So I got number 9, so varying a little bit.
For number 7, impacts on plants and animals, part D, the proposed action may result in reduction or degradation of any habitat used by any species of special concern and conservation need as listed by New York State on the federal government. So I know that I saw like all the documentation from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, their letter to you guys, and then that the DEC, had no record of animals or plants. And maybe it's because I was looking at the old one, so I should probably check and see. But it looked like it was said to not use those as, like, it doesn't mean that there aren't any. And I was just wondering to my fellow town board members if we should just follow up with like a quick, I don't know if Labella could, and I know this time of year is not really the best time to do a study or anything that way, but I just didn't know. I know we have, if that's something we should do or not. And I just wanted to put that out there. Because I think the ones that I saw, it said like not for consultation, or you're not supposed to use this as a confirmation that there isn't or is, either way.
You got me straight.
Sorry. Okay. So on that part, they're saying about endangered species and
Are there any on the listed by New York State that live in that area?
conservation need
Yeah,
as
if you look in the attachments to the part 2, DEC gave us a letter confirming that they have no record of rare or state-listed animals or plants or significant communities at project site or in its immediate vicinity. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife website only identified the northern
that.
northern lanyard bat as a potential, and the consultants looked at the site and there's not any bat habitat at the site, correct, Adam?
That's correct. I think the only clarification I'm trying to look up right now, they believe, I think they may have actually run an updated IPAC, which even has removed potential presence there for this long in fact. I'm trying to pull that up as we're looking here.
Yes, you're right, they did a follow-up letter with Fish and Wildlife.
Okay,
And, yes,
Yeah,
and that
right letter.
should be attached, yeah.
This was actually, just came in, actually, right, just literally just came in.
okay,
So I can't have it, that updated, the updated, look here on the wildlife, but, it's removing the potential, at least at a federal, from their perspective.
okay, thank you.
Sure.
I'm gonna skip, the next question I have is all the way over on number 14, tax on energy. Last one, I had a question I wrote here. Were there any changes made? Did National Grid do any changes at the grid system? Did they upgrade wiring? Will what you are putting in, will it have no significant impact on the present electrical system, the wiring, the infrastructure there at this time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, Sean, and, yeah, to give you some context, so the utility scope of work is essentially tied to two items. One being the substation modifications. So within the substation itself, they actually have to, they have to do something. We need to get probably my electrical engineer on to talk a little bit more, into the weeds on this one if you would like, but, they do need to make a modification to the substation as part of the project, as well as build out some existing overhead lines and utility poles for the project. In terms of disruption to the, to the existing infrastructure, to the, to any existing residents there, all of this will essentially be coordinated with the utility to address any sort of project-related constraints or impact to other, to other folks that are being served by that specific line. So there are, carefully looked at, carefully considered, we've interconnected a lot of these systems in the past, and, very workable. One thing that both are done also does, out there, do not want to do is disrupt the,
We're losing you, Adam.
right. There's clearly no incentive from National Grid perspective to not begin to serve their, their customers during the process.
So,
So,
go ahead.
Adam, on the upgrade to the substation, they're just changing something inside the line, that kind of thing, adding a bus or something like that?
It's a 3BO upgrade.
Explain.
I'm sure that-
I have no idea what that means.
That, I can get it, I can look at specific, directly money, but that's what it is, we're doing a 320 substation upgrade, which actually is already underway. Will be completed, by the utility, will be completed by June.
Completed by June. Okay.
The substation work, the just, modifications are anticipated to be completed by the end of June 2021. For the work associated with our specific contract, the existing red line path, and over pole installation, will be complete after the utility has done their design. We find they have completed their design. It's currently under review, by their superiors. As soon as that review is completed, I will have to obtain, subsequent and, right away, so that the utility can provide, service to this project on, both the layers and on the property, and then after they will start production.
Go ahead.
I'm just, so it is an upgrade, but it's a smaller impact, right? For not, like, so what you're saying, Sean, there are things being changed. The answer would be yes, but it would just be a small impact.
Yes.
Right.
Which will require a new or upgrade to an existing substation. But when you're talking national, you're not upgrading, National Grid's not upgrading a substation, correct?
National Grid is updating their substation. So yes, the answer to this one, 14A, we'll take back the no. For the section as a whole.
Okay.
14A is definitely, yes, National Grid is upgrading their substation.
Whereabouts is the substation for National Grid here? Nobody knows.
Sorry, Joe, you asked me where the substation is located.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, the substation is not in our community.
Isn't it
Gotcha.
Oakland?
Yeah, it's north of us here, up near the Walmart. Okay, helps, maybe.
By the railroad tracks?
Right by the prison?
Probably up by the railroad tracks.
Yes, yes, that is.
Okay. Okay, you'll make a correction on that then, will you not? Adam?
Yes, that's.
Yeah, we can do that. Yes.
Well, but I guess, yeah, we provided our input response to this, but it's minor. I'm happy to update it back to you.
But it's not.
It's part two, is technically the agency responsibility, so we're happy.
Well, I'd love to have you provide it to us, Adam.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Happy to, so we'll get it, we'll get that to you as well as a couple other years. We'll get it over to you.
How are we sitting with this? everybody?
I just have one more question, I think. So impacts on noise, odor, and health.
Whereabouts are you?
Number 15. And it's the part A. I just am curious, what are for construction, what are going to be like the hours for construction work?
Sure, yeah, good question. Actually, on part one, you will see, we got the section, I'm pulling it up right now, part one of the FDAF.
We could talk about
On page, that's 13, part one. Let me know when you're there, but basically that last section, section L, the hours of operation. You'll see that is what we are,
Perfect.
proposing for hours of operation. There's no work on that.
And 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. is what you have listed.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Wonderful.
And operation obviously be 24 hours if we had sunshine 24 hours.
Right.
That's correct. And we're hoping that to be the case.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I remember us, I thank you for refreshing my memory. I do remember us talking about that, and we were going to change that on the Sundays as well. So, okay. That's great. A lot's happened since we, let's see here.
Anything else having to do with part one, everybody?
You mean part 2?
Well, no, we're,
Oh.
I'm going back to part one right now because we spent time on part two. So I wanted, let's step away from part two, go back to part one again. Are there questions here, things that we need to have modified or changed? I think we went through a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, I think that just,
I know, I just want, second thoughts now.
yeah, just the things that Tom brought up about the fire department and the police departments.
The agencies.
Yep, the
specifically,
agencies.
yeah.
And then from before the change in the hours of operation, just from the version that I'm looking at for not on Sundays for the construction.
What do we say about holidays?
I don't remember.
I don't either.
I think that it gets complicated because there's so many holidays now.
Keep coming up with more.
And where this is going, there's no houses. I mean, it's,
Yeah. I would just maybe just like our main holidays. You know what I mean? I don't think that we should limit them on like Christmas, Easter, yeah. Right, right, exactly. Yeah,
National holidays.
yeah.
The only holidays that it possibly affects are Memorial Day, Labor Day, and the Fourth of July.
Which are
Look,
national.
yeah,
You
because-
won't be there Thanksgiving or Christmas or, I don't know if that helps.
I know our concerns.
So we could scratch that one out then, basically, if we're talking about holidays, national holidays, they won't work on national holidays, right?
Can you say that again?
They will not work on national holidays, correct?
Adam?
Yeah, I got that. That's the request of board. Yes, that's right. So we could be.
Okay, let's scratch that one out.
All right.
Okay, then we're pretty well set with part one then, correct?
yes.
So, we are going to remove federal holidays.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, then we're pretty well set with part one then. And part
Okay,
two,
yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you would find it important to summarize the changes there that we talked about. So just quickly remove the federal holiday work hours, D3A, change to AR business related to zoning. C.order, we will add the Berry Fire Department there, and C.order.B, move out the village, note the state police department there as well. Anything else I think of?
I don't think so.
Just the Sunday. I know you said the holidays, the Sundays too. Just need to be changed. I know you've already said you would, but oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, we're not proposing now to work, we won't work on Sundays or we won't work on national holidays.
Correct.
Um,
And there's a construction, yeah.
Yes,
Good.
you can keep working at them.
Can you give me approximate from start to finish?
it's three.
Sorry, would you mind repeating quickly?
Yeah, how much, how long would it be?
Just from start to finish, timeline.
For construction.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, talking with, you know, we have in there, we have, we have, we have, specifically noted, I mean, that's clearly for mobilization to, much out, close it out. But the actual physical heavy construction work, it will typically be about 3 or 5 months. Painful, for like deliveries, you know.
Yeah.
Activities happening, you know, the most disruptive part of the company, basically, 3 or 5 months.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Part one pretty much taken care of, part two.
Yep.
Going back to that now. Okay, I think we pretty much covered everything in here in part two. Is there anything that anybody else thought of?
No,
The only change was to the the 14A, in regards to the substation. Right?
Yes. Right, yeah.
Glenn has a 14 impact on energy.
Yeah.
Which will be yes, and then no or small impact made for on all of them.
Right.
That's correct. Yep, that's what I got from my notes too.
I don't think there's part two then.
And then Adam, you were just gonna send us that, the letter that you just received in regards to the, threatened or endangered species, yeah, for the long-eared bat.
That's right.
Um,
Yep.
yeah.
Yes, I will definitely, we'll put that along. I'll basically, I'd rather than stop doing it, I think we'll just provide with the updated part one, part two, and the fish and wildlife and current year, I want to get one package tomorrow.
Okay, good. Okay, anybody have any other questions while we have them on the line?
You don't.
Of course, Adam, you do realize that before we act on this whatsoever, we will act on the proposed changes to our solar law. That will be number one. Once we make the changes to our proposed solar law, then we will come back and address your project.
Is that what, because we'll have to do a public hearing, right? And send it to the county and all of those steps for the changes. So is that, and that's what they would like, is for us to wait until the,
Yeah, if I could just respectfully request that you continue reviewing our project while the changes are made to the zoning law, since our project, really could move forward with the existing law in place, and you're just cleaning up stuff in the law, like the references to which board and all that stuff. So it would be, it would be very helpful to us to have the review continue so that we don't lose more time.
right? So Teresa, just for clarification, so you would be okay with, going to the zoning board for a variance for the setbacks? Like you're okay with moving forward under the, current solar law?
That was what we intended to do originally, absolutely. And we, we can still do it that way. But what we don't want to have happen is to have to wait, I don't know how long it'll take you to amend the local law, because you've got to refer it to the county and everything. That
Right.
could be like a 2 or 3 month process. And that's what we're concerned about. That's why we'd like to have the engineering and other review of our project move forward so that you're in a position to approve it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's summarized as well. Thank you. You brought up a point I just want to at least ask the board. John, I think you might be a little bit closer to this, or maybe not, but in regards to the engineering review, I guess I just wanted to make sense. I know we did receive a list of comments from Bella, and Tom. I think it was 15 or so comments that we are currently working on, and we'll provide a response. We are targeting a response later this week. But I just wanted to make sure that like Bella, at least, would appear they had been engaged, right? But I want to make sure they were kind of looking at the entire package. I also want to make sure there's nothing from an administrative standpoint that was withholding that from occurring, because I know some of the changes that we're talking about in the solar law are kind of some things are specific to like what is happening right now. And I just wanted to make what, if anything, was holding up any further Lavella engagement?
Nothing there. As I sent you what their proposed cost would be for the project, which is about 10,000 more than what you did send us.
Correct.
Just so that you do have that, you're aware of that. But I also promise you that as their bills come in, because obviously I can't just say, hey, Lavella needs 10 grand. I know that your auditors, your business department's going to want to see exactly what you're paying out to Lavella. So I will have their detailed bills when I do get them. I will forward them to you. I should send them directly to you, right, Adam?
Yeah, I know you had noted that before, Sean, really, definitely do appreciate that. And that's exactly what I want to clarify, make sure, if there is something that exists today, right, that is holding up anything, contractually, commercially, whatever, I just want to make sure to get that out there so that we were aware, so that we can address anything we need to do. But my perspective is, what you just outlined makes sense, we'll keep it going, and then, as those funds are exhausted that we have provided, happy to, and we'll provide, additional funds, as necessary.
Okay, very good. The only other thing, and I see that there's a big section of it here on the proposed changes, 350-123 on the host agreement, which is something we also have to take a look at, that before any project gets going, we gotta negotiate that host community agreement.
I was under the understanding that Lance had already written a letter that we weren't gonna do an HCA or pilot for this project,
But
We-
one or the other.
that it was gonna be taxed.
Just to give you a status on the pilot, so we presented a proposed pilot agreement, both the town and county, it also
Right.
covers the school district, and we've been having discussions with Lance and with the county on that. So that's moving forward. I think the only issue that's left is the price per megawatt. As far as the host community benefit agreement, I'm a little bit, it appears to be a grouping of stuff, including the decommissioning agreement, the bond, and agreement to reimburse the town for expenses and stuff like that.
Road use
So,
agreement,
I could
contemplate.
happily draft something up or ask Lance if he has anything.
Okay, if you want to contact him. Yeah, there's several components of the HCA that we need to make sure that is addressed from the community's perspective, from our perspective.
Okay. Have you, if you don't mind me asking, have you entered into another one of these with anybody else?
We have insofar as wind is concerned, but not solar. This is the first time with solar.
First time in solar.
I'm just a little confused, because the letter, from November 9th from Don Allen that was included in the information that was sent to us, says Orleans County has, oh, okay, never mind. I misread it. Never mind. Thank you. I just need to read it again and then I would understand it.
No problem.
Okay, then we're pretty much set then, I guess, for this evening.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate the amount of time you're spending on it.
Thank you for being online
Thank you
with
very
us.
much for carving some time out this evening, folks. Really, really do appreciate your all of your collective time and effort. Really, we're continuing to, looking forward to continuing it with you all. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and ma'am.
Right, have a good one.
Yep, bye. Okay, I guess we're pretty much done then.
Right.
End street. There we go. Okay. Did you hang that phone up?